I'm Alexandria Monet Taylor, but I go by Alexandria Monet. Orthodox Vintage is an oasis for vintage and secondhand, and it's kind of a home and a community for vintage and secondhand to be affordable and accessible. We serve a variety of clothing, so menswear, women's wear, streetwear, formal, everyday wear. There's something for everyone, but mainly and all for the thrift community and the lovers, and educating people on that. I grew up in a black middle class family in New Haven, Connecticut. That's where I'm originally from. And secondhand to my family was a no-no. It was like, it was frowned down upon as if my family couldn't afford the good stuff. I got that, and I understood that, like, my grandmother raised me for the most part, and I understood that, like, it was something she didn't care for. However, my grandmother is a socialite and really stylish, and so I watched the way she put things together. And so I would literally save my bus money, because we had to take city buses to school, and I would save my bus money and walk to school so that I can go to the thrift store after school. And I was sneaking pieces of clothing in my house, like, every week. I would put in my book bag and go upstairs in my room. And then eventually I had too many pieces for her to not notice, right? So, like, she was buying my clothes, she was doing the purchasing. And one day my grandmother stopped me and she was like, "Where did you get that?" It was a blazer, a hot pink blazer that I still have to this day. And she was like, "Where'd you get that?" And I was like, the thrift store. That moment opened the door for me to tell her that I've been saving my bus money and going to the thrift store. And she wasn't mad, because she loved the way I put it together. And she was like, "Okay, is this where you prefer to shop?" And I was like, "Yes." And so she started giving me a weekly allowance to go get a piece from the thrift store, and I didn't have to hide it anymore. And it was really great. And yeah, my grandma supported my, I guess, odd fashion choice at the time of, like, wanting to shop at the thrift store versus the mall. 95% of all of our clothing is hand sourced and selected, and I really take pride in that, because I feel like it curates a very specific kind of energy with the clothing and with our customer. We opened Unorthodox almost 2 years ago. It's a collaboration between my women's company, which is She Thrifty Apparel, based out of Durham, and Sir Chance's, which is owned and operated by Julian Jacobs. One thing that I'm noticing as I run the store, own the store, talk to people who are really interested in thrifting and, like, secondhand, is they feel like they can't afford it. And that's something for me that really bothers me, because I feel as though curated spaces like vintage stores don't have to be much different than a donation-based thrift store. I get it, you're doing more work and you know the value of the item, but we're not in it just for the dollar. We're in it so that people have the option for vintage and secondhand to be accessible and affordable to them. That's the thing about circular fashion. You are able to love and re-love something. And let's say I'm done with it. I get to give it to you, and you get to love and re-love it. That's what circular fashion is, and I think that that is what we need to do. The environmental impact, fast fashion versus buying what's already here, is astronomically different. We have access to years and years and years and decades of story times and people's uniqueness. Fast fashion is strictly made on trends. People shop that way, but that's not how people live. You don't live your everyday life based off of what's popular. You go in your closet, you buy things and you wear things that you know are able to, like, move you from day to day. That's what you're getting the most wear out of. So secondhand is accessibility, it's every day, it's your life, versus buying into something that is for the moment. And I think that if we could speak about that more and kind of change the narrative of that more, like, what's more important, the moment or the next 10 years? And to me, I'm always going to choose the next 10 years.